I think they were enjoying themselves. We were certainly enjoying watching it. Then it got very busy in the pits. Number 19 car, the championship leader, made his pit stop. Kodric to Lind. Lind was back in a lap later with a puncture. And no points today in the second race at Fuji. Will that have an eventual outcome on the championship destination at the end of the season? But as you can see, out on the circuit, the racing was absolutely brilliant. And this long start-finish straight, just providing so many opportunities for passing manoeuvres. And also, turn one is so tight, there is inevitably contact. But the overall victory went to Nico Bastian and Patrick Niederhauser, 10 seconds clear of their teammate Alexander Matschel. And look how close it was in that battle for second place. 100th of a second was Matschel's margin over Hiroshi Hamaguchi's Lamborghini, with Taniguchi coming home in fourth after yesterday's victory. Fantastic racing at Fuji Speedway.
Those are the highlights from rounds 7 and 8 at Fuji Speedway. Right now we're at Shanghai for rounds 9 and 10. Man in the box, David Addison.
So we're looking forward to the first of two races here in Shanghai this weekend. The grid is starting to form. The cars on their way from the pit lane round to the grid, doing the installation laps. The engineers are all there just in case anybody has a problem that needs last-minute attention on the grid. And then it'll be a rolling start, and we are in for 60 minutes of racing. Mandatory pit stops between 25 and 35 minutes of the race. It's a 90-second pit stop if you're in a GT3 car, the faster class of car. GT4, for which the regulations are perhaps closer to road cars, you have to make a pit stop of 125 seconds, and that's the pit in to the pit out lines, so it balances across all of the cars across those two classes. Within GT3 you've then got the Silver Cup, you've got the Pro-Am and the Am competitions as well. GT4 is all about the Am drivers. And the grid is 32 cars strong, the biggest grid of GT cars we've had for a race in China ever. No argument about it. And so it promises to be a fascinating race. There's not only the race in isolation to look for, there is the championship as well to factor in. Two races here, two at Ningbo, still to come. Patrick Niederhauser is the championship leader, 8 points ahead of Martin Kodric and Dennis Lind. Nick Foster is a distant third, but still in touch if he gets some good results out of this race. Track temperature 40 degrees C. It was very cloudy, smoggy almost this morning. Well, the sun has broken through, so it's a very different backdrop now because you can see more. You can see more of the buildings. People are squinting more because the sunshine has come out, and after the rain that we had here across the weekend last year, it's thrown another curveball at the teams because they're a bit limited on hot and sunny weather data. The circuit itself has the long pit straight down through the corkscrew effect of turns 1 and 2 and 3. Then it opens up a little bit up to the hairpin at 6. Wriggle your way down to 10 and 11. Short straight up to another looping corner through 12 and 13. Long fast straight down to the hairpin at 14 and the kink at 15 at the bottom. And then the sharp left-hander to complete the lap. And that's a part of the circuit where in qualifying people were losing lap times because they were running wide. So the race director will be keeping an eye to people's abuse of track limits. It is a mouth-watering grid of cars. Audi, Bentley, Ferrari, Nissan, Lamborghini, Mercedes, Porsche, KTM and BMW, all represented. KTM and BMW exclusively within GT4. Some of the other brands with a foot in both camps, Mercedes and Porsche, for example, in GT3 and GT4, but obviously with different spec of cars and different types of car. The Cayman is the Porsche representation in GT4. It's the purpose-built AMG GT4 Mercedes that runs within the GT4 class, and as I say, they're closer to the road-going spec. So the field slotting into position, looking down on the grid. There's a good number of people in the grandstand. Many a Porsche fan, I noticed. Lots of Porsche flags have been flying, and with the variety that you have across the brands, there's a lot to look for. Another really high-quality entry as well. In fairness to SRO, you kind of get a bit blasé about seeing all the stars turn out for SRO championships, but it's an amazing entry once more. And the championship being led by Patrick Niederhauser, and he is on the grid with Claire.
999 right here. Patrick, you guys are at the top of your category right now of the championship. Tell us, is the pressure on with Kodric close behind you?
Yeah, obviously the pressure is on. Championship fight is on at the moment, but we have a good starting position. Obviously, they start on pole. We are from P4, but 60 minutes can be quite a long race, and we're going to try everything to make good points today. We have some pit stop penalty from our win in Fuji, but we are looking to finish in the top 5 in a very good race. So it's not over until the finish line, and we'll give it all.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Patrick. Good luck.
Good to hear from Patrick Niederhauser, then the pole position driver, and the Gruppe M run Mercedes. He shares with Nico Bastien. He's been switching co-drivers a little bit this season. Gruppe M found itself in a rather awkward place at the start of the season because it ran a car for Bryce Bosey and Raffaele Marciello, and Bryce Bosey turned out to be much, much quicker than anybody had expected, and with a rather generous grading. All the drivers have a grading system in GT3. He was quickly reclassified, and that then meant that he couldn't drive with his original co-driver of Raffaele Marciello. So there's been a lot of shuffling around within the Gruppe M ranks, and certain drivers are available as the pro and others aren't, depending on which other championship they're competing in, and. So Patrick Niederhauser is reunited with Nico Bastien for this weekend, and that's why Patrick has a point score that is different from the co-driver that he is with for the purposes of this weekend. Patrick Niederhauser has had a good season as well, because not only has he been banking points, but also, where possible, he has been taking race wins. So he's had 2 with Nico Bastien, and he had another one with Marcus Pommer, ex-single-seater racer. Another man to watch in this first stint could well be Jono Lester, the Ferrari driver, and it's time we heard from him, again with Claire.
Okay, Jono Lester in car 27. Jono, now you had considerable success in the last race. Tell us, this race, what is the strategy? You're a couple of spots behind the top spot.
Yeah, we are. Look, this is actually probably a little bit better than expected, to be honest. We've really struggled so far this weekend. Sort of transferring over from the boys' success at Suzuka, we haven't quite found our footing the same way. So, look, we're throwing the kitchen sink at it. We've been doing all sorts of changes. Hello, Nick.
I'm the best in the world.
And he's the best in the world.
I deserve a bit of everything.
We've got Nick over here taking over. Nick, tell us some of your thoughts this weekend as you take over from Jono.
Let's see. He's in not a bad spot. I mean, we're struggling a little bit, but I mean, I think part of that's balance at the moment, and then also we're quite slow in a straight line, which doesn't really help. But, we're starting up the front. We've finished on the podium from back here before, so we just fight hard and see what happens. Just all about racing from here.
Brilliant. Good luck, guys.
So you get both there. Nick Foster rather gate-crashing the party to join Jono Lester. Nick Foster switching from Porsches to Ferraris this year. Done quite a bit of his racing in Europe, but coming back to the Asia-Pacific region to do his racing this season. And going very, very strongly indeed. Pole position is Dennis Lind in the FFF racing team by ACM Lamborghini. I said to Dennis after qualifying, is this because you're a star or is this a Lamborghini-friendly circuit? He said, no, it's because I'm a star. And actually, the Lamborghini is perhaps not the best car around here. It likes stop-start circuits. This is less of a stop-start circuit, so it's certainly been competitive, but a lot of that is down to the 2 good drivers, Dennis Lind, who qualified for this race, and Martin Kodrich, who is the start driver for the race tomorrow. At the back of the grid is number 10, the KTM, new to the championship. It's been a car common on the tracks in Australia and in mainland Europe, but Dean Kutsamides and Justin McMillan share the quirky little KTM. You might see it in a moment with the front of the car opened up. It doesn't have conventional doors. You open the entirety of the front of the car. And if we keep going back down the grid, as I say, you might get a glimpse of it shortly, but we're still in GT3 land at the moment. They're the Bentley, which is another story in itself. The Bentley Team Phoenix Racing Asia cars. Number 6 is the non-point scoring Sean Tong Jordan Pepper car. There's also to factor into this pit stop penalties. If you're in the top 3 in a race, you carry, depending on where you are, 15, 10 or 5 seconds into the next race. But also, if you're a late entrant into the championship or you're in for the first time, you carry 7 seconds of time to be spent in the pit lane. So there are quite a few drivers, a few cars that serve extra time in the pits, either through good results already or through the late entrant penalty that you cop for. It all changes for tomorrow because it's on the top 3, so different top 3 potentially will be carrying different pit stop penalties going into the race tomorrow. The grid is starting to be cleared. Before we go any further, we better hear from one of the real stars of Porsche racing in this region, Chris van der Drift with Claire.
Speaking very quickly here to Li Chao and car 808 for the Porsches. Li Chao, you guys have been struggling a little bit this weekend. Tell us a little about what's going on.
Yeah, in the practice we have a pretty good lap time, but in the qualify it's even slower than the practice. But we got a new setup for the race. Let's see what we can do. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, good luck.
Chris van der Drift, I think, did a runner at the last moment, so we'll hear from Li Chao, who's in the car. Chris van der Drift will do the second stint in that, but he was teed up, but I think he made a run for it as the grid is being cleared, and you can see now everybody making their way into the pit lane. There, the Phoenix run Bentley in the champion colours. This is the car of Marchi Lee, who's been instrumental in putting this programme together, and Alex Young, the former Grand Prix racer, switching from Audi to Bentley. Don't expect miracles from this in its early stages. It's an experienced team, but for so long Phoenix has run Audis. It's something very new now to have to adapt to the Bentley. The Bentley is a car, this second generation Continental GT3, in its first full season of racing, so development is still moving on. So you've got a new car being run by a different team. Progress is being made every lap, but I think they'll probably go better in the second race than the first, but it's going to be fascinating to see how they get on. We've had other teams, apart from M Sport run Bentleys, Team Parker Racing in the UK and Abt in Germany, but now Phoenix, who run Audi in the DTM and in GT4, picking up this project over here as well. It's good to see the Bentleys coming into the series. So, at the back of the grid, you see number 72 Mercedes there, the Team iRace.win car of Ringo Chong and Alex Au, who takes over the seat vacated by Gilles Vanillet for the weekend. Pole position Dennis Lind. Alongside on the front of the grid is Frankie Cheng, the experienced driver, experienced Chinese driver, and his Absolute Racing Audi he shares with Martin Rump. On the second row of the grid is going to be Eduardo Liberati's Nissan, and alongside is Patrick Niederhauser, the championship leader. So, as the grid is now cleared, this opening race of the weekend for Blancpain GT Series Asia at the Shanghai International Circuit set to get underway. It will be a 1 hour race, mandatory pit stops. As ever, there's the fascination of seeing the relative pace of the drivers change as you get the quicker driver in or the slower driver in, and it's more prevalent in the Pro-Am spec cars. Some will rise and fall depending on who is behind the wheel. You want, ideally, as evenly matched drivers as you can get. So, as the grid is pretty much cleared, great big cheer has just gone up for the Daryl Young Porsche. You can see all the flags flying on the left-hand side of the grandstand there. Daryl Young from Craft Bamboo Racing has got a lot of supporters here. And there at the front of the grid is number 7. That is the Andrew Kim Absolute Racing Audi that lines up behind John O'Lester's Ferrari, which lines up behind Eduardo Liberati's Nissan, which lines up behind the pole car, the Lamborghini, in the hands of Dennis Lind, former Lamborghini Super Trofeo champion. Dennis Lind, number 63. And he will go first into this race, having already been a winner this season. Dennis Lind and Martin Kodrich won at Suzuka in the second race there. Dennis Lind became the first person, by the way, to take 2 pole positions in GT3 this season by dint of his efforts for this race qualifying session earlier on. 1 minute to go. So engines now fire up. Everybody leaves the grid. Engineers, marshals, officials, everybody. Scarpers there. Ravin, the race director, radio in hand, ready to coordinate the start and to release the cars. Engines are all fired up. There'll be the 15-second board, the safety car, the pace car as it will become, will blast away, and then the race cars will be released a little bit later, giving them the chance to accelerate and play catch-up and get the warmth into the tyres and into the brakes. Patrick Niederhauser's blue and white Grupper M Mercedes there. Grupper M that won the Suzuka 10 hours, not part of this championship, it's part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, but inevitably with a number of teams and drivers from this region. So, safety car peels away, and any moment now the field will be released. The lights go to green, and the cars then accelerate off the grid. Not for the start of the race, but for the formation lap to get underway. It's a last chance to get some warmth into the Pirelli rubber. It's a fine sight it makes, this grid, I should tell you, stretching all the way back down this very, very long pit straight. Different shapes, different sizes, different sounds, And now the car's all mobile. Everybody is away. So the cars work their way through this turn 1 and 2 long right-hander, left at 3, and then again there's a kink at 4 before you get to a proper corner at 5. Let's look at the grid. Dennis Lind starts on pole position alongside Frankie Cheng. It's Lamborghini and Audi on the front row. The second row, the Nissan of Eduardo Liberati lining up alongside the Mercedes of championship leader Patrick Niederhauser. Row 3 of the grid is where you will find the John O'Lester, I should say, driven Ferrari, and alongside it is going to be Mitch Gilbert in the OD Racing Team Audi, ahead of Andrew Kim's Absolute Audi, and then the Hiroshi Hamaguchi Lamborghini lining up for 8th on the grid. 9th is Anthony Liu, and then Darrell Young in the Porsche. Porsche struggling for grunt around here. They won here last year, but that was because it was wet, really. In the dry, not so rapid. Jing Zuzun is next on the grid. He's 11th alongside Alexander Matschul in the car he shares with the European Blancpain Sprint champion Raffaele Marciello. Hiroaki Nagai and Juan So are on the next row of the grid. The Indigo Racing Mercedes rounding out the top 14 ahead of Yuki Taniguchi. He's got Sean Tong lining up alongside him, the Hong Kong driver in the first of the Bentleys, ahead of Naota Takeda, and his car shared with Takuya Shirasaka heading the AM Cup, I should say, in the championship alongside Maurice Chen's Ferrari. Then it's Wei Zhu with the Anstone Racing Mercedes, the sister car of Max Weiss of the company, ahead of Chao Li, and then Shea Davis with the Craft Bamboo Racing Porsche 911. Next on the grid is Marchie Lee's Bentley, and alongside that is Andrew McPherson in the Lamborghini from his own AMAC team that had a puncture in Q2. Then you get into GT4, where Takayuki Kinoshita is on pole position yet again alongside Brian Lee. Next up come Ringo Chong and Max Chen with Mercedes and BMW respectively. Next, Rit Yun making a welcome return to Blancpain GT Series Asia in the Grupper M GT4 Mercedes, sharing with the dominant Reinhold Renger, and alongside is Kyo Chang. And then the back row of the grid is a car like a number in this, not eligible for points, but the AMG Driving Academy Team LSH Motorsport car of Diana Rosario and James Tang lines up alongside the KTM of Dean Koutsoumides. He will start. So that's the grid, that's the field. That's the 32 cars that are set to go racing here at Shanghai. This is round 9 of the Blancpain GT Series Asia. This, the run to the lights, and then when they go green, this is go any second. Now the cars accelerate away, and a good start made by Dennis Lind, but not as good as Frankie Cheng on the outside line, and Frankie Cheng it is that steals the advantage, and there's contact. Dennis Lind gets into the back of him, and Frankie Cheng goes around. Cars scatter in avoidance. That has delayed Niederhauser, it's delayed Eduardo Liberati as well in avoidance, I think, in the Nissan, but that was Dennis Lind who braked a bit late, seemingly. He'll say that Frankie Cheng braked a bit early, but there was contact between the two, and Frankie Cheng ends up spinning. Thankfully wasn't collected, but cars scattered, and it's Eduardo Liberati that's also lost outlet because he's fallen back behind Yuki Taniguchi in the second of the Nissans. So Dennis Lind leads the way, and up into second place. How did that happen? It looks like Darrell Young has gone through in the Porsche, so he was in the right place at the right time. Sometimes things like that work against you, sometimes the cars fall right. Dennis Lind is getting away. There's more drama up at turn 6 as they wriggle their way out of the right-hander for the first time over that slight brow through turn 7. Speed building now on this flowing part of the circuit, and the field accelerates now in towards the end of lap number 1 as they're approaching the final element of the lap. 991 then, Darrell Young in the red Porsche keeping at bay, 27 Ferrari of John O'Lester, but Dennis Lind is getting away. The field turning its way then now down hard on the brakes into the left-hander at turn 10, and you can see the gap that Dennis Lind has pulled as Darrell Young, the experienced Hong Kong driver, goes a little bit deep into the first element of the turn 12-13 complex. That gives John O'Lester a chance to challenge. Right up behind them as well, also making good progress, Mitch Gilbert, the Australian driver, goes round the outside of John O'Lester. He's taking with him the next of the Audis, which is going to be the Jeffrey Liu car. But as the leaders accelerate down towards turn 14 for the first time, Lind leads the way. Gap opening up, and then everybody else trying to be second at the moment. Darrell Young defending nicely in the Porsche as he hits the brakes, and there Mitch Gilbert swarming all over the back of John O'Lester, who gets up the inside of the Porsche. He rides the curves. Can he go through? The Audis are almost tripping over themselves in the background as well, and Niederhauser getting run out wide by the Ferrari. Darrell Young versus John O'Lester side by side for second place as they come now out of turn 16. The leader goes through, and it's side by side for second on this long drag past the pits on the outside line. Jono Lester in the Ferrari. On the inside line is Daryl O'Young being cheered on by all of the Craft Bamboo Racing Porsche fans. Mitch Gilbert goes through in fourth, Jeffrey Lewis fifth, Andrew Kim is sixth, and then in seventh place now it is Ju Won Seo, who's also made good progress up from 14th on the grid. Frankie Cheng after the spin is down in 19th place. Mitch Gilbert goes wide, that leaves the door wide open for Liu and Andrew Kim if he can take advantage. Kim can't, but definitely through on the inside line goes Anthony Liu. Good move by him, that. So there, as the leader singular comes into view, Dennis Lind is away and gone by 4.5 seconds here, and Jono Lester up into second place. The Ferrari goes through, and drama for Bentley, number 6. That is Sean Tong at turn 2. He's facing the wrong way. Oh, so nearly being collected by a couple of the GT4 cars, including the KTM there of Dean Koutsoumides, but that needs a bit of assistance maybe to get it out of harm's way. Yellow flags fly then within the first sector. And Sean Tong trying to turn the car around and get going again. Second is Jono Lester, and you can see the way that the Porsche is hampered for pace, because having lost second spot, it drops away and is now the cork in the bottle. Daryl O'Young lucked into second place off the start, but now he's keeping everybody else stacked up. Jono Lester is away and gone, and he might be able to have a go back at the race leader Dennis Lind. We shall see as the cars accelerate towards the back straight in a moment. There is the recovering Frankie Cheng through on the inside, gets ahead of 66 Mercedes. Max Weiser goes down 1 place. That's the Anstone car, and behind, look, number 5 Bentley, Archie Lee. Now there is a rather crumpled 18 Yuki Taniguchi. Could that have been involved with the Bentley? I wonder. It's got damaged suspension, so Taniguchi potentially has made contact with the Bentley. That might explain why Sean Tong was facing the wrong way, and also 23 has got some damage. Now the two Nissans were together, weren't they, on the opening lap? So Eduardo Liberati there onto the tail of Ju Won Seo, looks for a way past him. Patrick Niederhauser dropping back into 9th place. Dennis Lind in the meantime is away and gone. Safety car deployed, so Dennis Lind will not be away and gone. They're all going to catch back up onto the tail of him. Safety car deployed, there it is, and this, one assumes, is to get the Bentley out of harm's way. There it's the safety car, and the field now turns through with Dennis Lind's 6-second advantage about to disappear. There's as yet no suggestion of that incident being looked at from turn 1, which is good news for Dennis Lind. He just saw the Bentley still stranded by the side of the road. So Sean Tong, we still haven't quite pieced together how he got there, but he's not getting away from there. That's the problem. So the car's not able to overtake while the safety car is on the track. The reason for the safety car is to allow the race to continue, albeit under controlled conditions, and give the marshals a safe opportunity to get that car out of harm's way. Turning out of the turn 7 left-hander, race leader Dennis Lind then, with Jono Lester behind. You've got Daryl O'Young running in 3rd. You've got 4th now being 37, Anthony Liu, I should say, ahead of Mitch Gilbert. 6th, Andrew Kim. 7th, Ju Won Seo. 8th, Eduardo Liberati. 9th, Patrick Niederhauser. 10th, Alexander Matschel. Factor into this as well the pit stop penalties. So 9.99 of Niederhauser gets 15 seconds. 10 for 888, which is behind it, Matschel. And then 5 seconds for number 63 Lamborghini, which is down in 12th place. So Dennis Lind, the leader, will also benefit relative to others on the pit stops, because he will stop for the regulation time, not any extra. For him, a nice situation to be in. So as the field now turns out of turn 10, see how long it takes to move the Bentley. Real shame for this new operation for Phoenix Racing, Ernst Moses team that is based in the shadow of the Nordschleife in Moispach, just near the Nürburgring in Germany. But this operation for the Team Phoenix Racing Asia with the Bentleys, sadly not having a great start. Number 6 off the road, number 5, which is the Archie Lee car, up into 14th place, but Sean Tong out of the race. And so now, as the cars turn in towards turn 10, Dennis Lind in the Lamborghini it is that leads the way. Jono Lester will be looking to try to make good his restart, see whether he can gain ground when we're back in business. And there is the damaged 18 Nissan down the pit road. This is effectively the end of the race. The only benefit for repairing the car quickly is to get out and test, because you have no opportunity to run before tomorrow's race. But Yuki Taniguchi then with the damage comes down the pit road. That deprives, in this race, Alexandre Imperatori a chance to run. He's a very quick driver too. It's a shame for KCMG. This team looked after by Mark Goddard, British, a very rapid racer in years past, denies that team a chance to continue with that car in the race. So the field comes through, safety car out for at least one more lap, and I don't think the Bentley has been moved yet. It seems as though there's either a problem getting a recovery vehicle to it, or it needs a different one. So the KCMG team, I think, are having to relay the message to Yuki Taniguchi that that's your day done, mate. It's going to take a while to get the car in, assess the damage, take the old parts off, put the new parts on. But sad to say, the car is in the pit lane. So the field still turning its way past the Bentley, which is still stranded. I'm surprised that it's taking as long as it is to get the car moved. And you can understand clearly why the safety car has been needed. You can leave the car there under racing conditions. So the race order is on the graphic. Dennis Lind is the leader. We're behind the safety car then, which, if you are the slower driver out of the two of you, is really good news, because it means you're losing less time within your stint. If you're the quick driver, it's really bad news, because you're not making the time in your stint. So if you're an evenly matched combination, it's going to sort of balance out a little bit more. But for Dennis Lind, he wants to be pressing on, trying to build as big a gap as he possibly can. What it does do is keep, for example, the Alexander Matschel Raffaele Marciello Mercedes very much in contention. Alexander Matschel is a quick driver in his own right, but that's a Pro-Am car, and the Pro, Raffaele Marciello, is the faster, and when he's behind the wheel, that car absolutely flies. So we'll see what progress it can make in the second stint. So the field turning its way now down through turn 10. And up front remains, of course, Dennis Lind. No overtaking while we have the safety car on track like this. Just looking, it seems as though we had one car that didn't take the start of the race. I'm trying to work out who it was. But the grid looked complete as I was looking down on it. But one car, so we had 32 on the grid, and 31 on the timing screen. One seemingly did not make the start. Answers on a postcard. So Lind, Lester, O'Young, Liu, Gilbert, Kim, Sio, Liberati, Niederhauser, Matschel, currently in the top 10. 28, Maurice Chen's Ferrari was one that was in the gravel in qualifying, but that got onto the grid, so all was good there. Race leaders, another lap completed, go through. And there the GT4 contingent turning out of turn 14. GT4 currently being led by Kinoshita, number 81 BMW, from pole position. Second is Brian Lee's Porsche, and third, Ringo Chong. There goes the champion back Bentley, Archie Lee at the wheel of it, running in 14th place. Max Weiser's Mercedes behind. The AMAC Lamborghini goes out of shot. Andrew McPherson's car, Kinoshita, Lee, Chong, Chen, Chang and Yu is the top 6 within GT4, and that is the KTM. So the field currently with 4 laps done, and still the Bentley is stranded. I think we've got a little flatbed or a snatch vehicle close by, and so should be not too far before we are back underway. It'll take a while to get the car to a place where it can easily be moved, and any moments we shall hopefully be able to see that car off the track and get closer to a restart. A real shame, Bentley number 6 out of the race so early. 18 Nissan, the other car that we've lost, of Taniguchi. So we are on lap 5. Now it's perhaps taken a while because of everything else that's been going on in the race, but the incident at turn 1 is under investigation. So the incident at the first corner is being looked at. That was the contact between Dennis Lind and Frankie Cheng. That is now being looked at by the officials. So the incident at turn 1 under investigation. The Craft Bamboo Racing Porsche fans of the grandstand. So the field behind the safety car, down towards turn 14. And Daryl Young's Porsche there, just ahead of 37 Audi of Anthony Liu. Andrew Kim next in the queue. Just going back to GT4 for a moment. Rick Yoon is currently 6th in the class. That's the car that he shares, and in fairness to him, it's a new car to him. That's the car he shares with Reinhold Renger, who is the man that has returned to racing this year and has been mighty impressive across the course of the season, having taken 3 wins. So expect that one to make some progress in the second stint. We've got at least one more lap behind the safety car. As I say, all of this eating into the available drive time for the fast drivers. And interestingly as well, the GT4 leading BMW has dropped a long way back. So Kinoshita needs to get a ring on. They can see the gap just going into turn 1 between the back end of GT3 and the front end of GT4. Safety car will be in this time, so they can see the road is clear. So we will go racing this time, which will be good news for all. And it's going to give us, well, right now, 11 minutes before the pit window opens, but take maybe a couple out of that. Limited laps, in other words, before people start charging into the pit lane. A replay of the start. Have a look at Dennis Lin, because it's a longer drag. Again, the start line a bit further down the pit straight, so you don't have a start and finish line, you have a control line here. And he was slower away than was Frankie Cheng, but then he seemed to brake late, or Cheng braked early, and the Lamborghini just gets into the back of the Audi, and around goes Cheng. It was a fair old whack, and it carried the speed into the corner as Cheng was turning, and he couldn't quite hold the slide, and around it went. Others had to take evasive action. What we haven't really done yet is be able to piece together what happened to the Bentley nor 18 Nissan, but I still think the two things might well be connected. So there is the field out of turn number 10 and 11, and ready for the restart at the end of this lap. Lights out on the safety car, meaning that it will pit on this lap. We will get the race back underway, and so Dennis Lind it is, the cousin of Kevin Magnussen, the Formula 1 racer, coming down towards turn 14, weaving around to generate the warmth in the tyres, get the pressures back up again. Behind him there you can see number 27 Ferrari of John O'Lester, the Hub Auto Corsa car, the Kiwi at the wheel, and behind him it is the Canadian Hong Kong driver Daryl O'Young on the Pratt perches. The engineers look on, ready for the restart, and we will go racing this time. There is the green flag, so Dennis Lind accelerates away, gets a good restart there coming out of turn 16. So Dennis Lind leads, John O'Lester in the Ferrari is second, Daryl O'Young is third, fourth as they come across the timing line is Anthony Liu in the Audi, in fifth place behind him is Mitch Gilbert, sixth is Andrew Kim, and 7th and 8th together you've now got Juan Seo and Eduardo Liberati trying to go around the outside in the Nissan. Has he done it? We'll see in a moment on the next shot. He has, round the outside. I think he's made his move. So Eduardo Liberati on a mission, as there is Dennis Lind, the race leader. He's got this Damocletian investigation hanging over him, but he's trying to make good his escape now. John O'Lester in the Ferrari in second place, and then third, look, Daryl O'Young, but he's under attack. Right there with him is Anthony Liu. He's got Alessio Picariello with him for the second stint, so if he can keep the car in contention, Picariello, we know, is good. He should be able to bring that into contention very much in the second part of the race. Picariello, last year's Audi R8 Cup champion in this region. So we've only had 6 laps of the race because of the safety car period. And again, look, Daryl O'Young going defensive, but being the cork in the bottle, holding up people now. He's got to try and maintain his position, but that means that now he's under attack, because right there on his tail is Anthony Liu in the Audi, trying to prise open the door. Mitch Gilbert in the OD Racing entry, next in the queue as well, the blue and red car. And so all the Audis getting themselves together, because then behind is Andrew Kim. He's under attack from Liberati. The Mercedes, with a bad BOP, so the team will tell you around here, not making the progress at the moment either. But let's see what they can do when they get the second drivers on board. Up front then, in this little battle pack, Daryl O'Young in the Porsche, and right with him, good effort this in number 37, Anthony Liu, as they accelerate now down towards turn 14 once again. Anthony Liu in the Audi, a former Carrera Cup Asia racer. He's raced in the Asian Le Mans Series, took one win in the second race at Sepang last year in a Ferrari, but going nicely here. The leader has got a drive-through penalty for the incident at turn 1. Dennis Lind gets a drive-through penalty for the contact against Frankie Cheng at the first corner. So there is an example of why that safety car has been very bad news, because it means the gap has virtually disappeared anyway, and it's going to be reduced and lost, that lead, by a drive-through penalty. Whereas if we hadn't had the safety car, he could have kept on pushing and would have lost less time. So now, less places at least, fewer places. Dennis Lind is going to have to serve a drive-through penalty for that contact at the first corner. The number 19, Lamborghini, 2.5 seconds clear, but it's a long, long pit lane. And so Dennis Lind, and you've got to do it as an independent stop, is going to be, I'm afraid, a long way down. He needs another safety car to bring it back into the hunt, but this is a really costly drama for them, I'm afraid to say. So Dennis Lind for the moment leads the way, but in real terms it's going to be Jono Lester who will inherit the advantage in this car that he shares with Nick Foster, and that's going to set them up nicely, isn't it, for the second part of the race here. That car will take over the advantage, and it's looking pretty strong thus far. Darrell O'Young still running in third place, but under attack because he's now got Liu and Gilbert, and then the hard-charging Liberati tucked up behind him. The Porsche, immaculate car, looks good in that colour scheme, but around here struggling, and I think Porsche are trying to do a rain dance really to promote chances for the second race of the weekend. Dennis Lind then leads the way. He's done the fastest lap, but it's all going to come to naught, sadly, for the Dane. If he's got to serve this drive-through penalty, you get 3 passings of the timing line from when the message goes on the screen. After that, you're in trouble. One car that's made a very good fist of it early on is number 911, Shea Davis, in the 911 Porsche, up into 9th place, having started 22nd on the grid. Lind into the pit lane. So Dennis Lind comes in to serve the drive-through. He will not be amused, to say the least. So down the pit road he now comes. Everybody else streams past. So the race leader becomes Jono Lester in the Ferrari. Darrell O'Young will run in second place. And up into third now will come Anthony Liu. There, Dennis Lind rejoins. He will do so ahead of Liao Chao, and that puts him into 15th place. So from 1st to 15th, Dennis Lind falls. It's the 808 Porsche of Li Chao that he just gets back ahead of. But Jono Lester now leading the way comfortably from Darrell O'Young, and a change imminent behind. Look, because Eduardo Liberati comes up to have a go at the Audis. He's got past Mitch Gilbert, and he's about to get a place, I think, off Anthony Liu. Not quite. Anthony Liu doing a really good job of defending here. Eduardo Liberati crawling all over the back of him. So Liberati in the Nissan, the blue and white KCMG car, ahead of Mitch Gilbert. But Anthony Liu going very, very well indeed. The bronze-graded driver, number 37, being a Pro-Am car, but he's keeping real guns behind him, including Patrick Niederhauser there, looking at the Mercedes, the championship leader, coming into the equation as well now as the race wears on. So the race leaders down towards turn 14, and it is now Jono Lester then in the Ferrari that has the advantage in the race, as there Liberati pulls out, makes his move against Liu on the inside line, goes through the Nissan, late on the brakes, dives through on the inside line, and Eduardo Liberati then gains the place, going really nicely in this KCMG run. Nissan has to defend a little bit on the way to the next corner. Florian Strauss will take over. Strauss not slow, former winner of the Bathurst 12 Hours, so that should be a competitive car right to the end of the race. Jono Lester is leading by 4.3 seconds, but Liberati lapping quicker than Darrell O'Young ahead of him. And what about Dennis Lind's progress? Let's see. I reckon he was going to be 15th when he rejoined. And he's all fired up. He's already gained 1 place back. He's up in the 14th spot. As out of turn 3, Cambiao is there in GT4 with the leading Kinoshita-driven BMW. So Takayuki Kinoshita for BMW Team Studi turns out of turn 14, being chased by Brian Lee in the Porsche Cayman. But right now, the BMW M4, another turnkey GT4 racer, looking very strong indeed up front. You look at it and you think it's more of a touring car than a GT car, but fits the letter of GT4 perfectly. And it's the type of car that's had great success in the European Championship as well this season. There's the Cayman behind, hustling on. The TTR Team SARD entry, Brian Lee will give way to Tony Fong. And the gap between those two, courtesy of the safety car, is only 1.8 seconds. Third is the effervescent Ringo Chong with the Team iRace.win Mercedes. And then behind him, it is Keo Chang with another of the Caymans. This battle is for 10th place. 97 is the Indigo Racing Mercedes of the Korean driver Ji-won Seo, and then up behind him is the recovering Frankie Cheng. So even allowing for the safety car pulling the field back together, you can see how much time he's lost. Look at Daryl O'Young though, under attack from Eduardo Liberati for 2nd place. Down to turn 14 they come. Porsche versus Nissan, nose to tail the two of them. Liberati in the grunt and go. Nissan will try and squirt up the inside if he can, coming out of the hairpin, but Daryl O'Young doing what he has to do, defend stoically, and he hangs on to that 2nd place. There's also another incident being investigated. Frankie Cheng and 888 Alexander Matschel at turn 11. So it's not been Frankie Cheng's race, has it? 2 incidents he's been involved with. 2nd and 3rd separated by 0.267 of a second as they go across the timing line at turn 1. They could barely be any closer. Nose to tail there. Daryl O'Young dabs the brakes, turns his way through the right-hander, and now the Nissan gets the inside line into turn 3, gets forced up the curb, but Eduardo Liberati stands his ground. He's going to keep on coming. He'll be on the outside line, though, for the kink coming through turn 4, then 5. Can he get the job done by turn 6? He's hung out to dry on the outside line. Daryl O'Young gets the shorter line, and he gets the place back. Liberati breaks late into turn 6. If he can stay there, he'll have the inside line for turn 7. It's going to be a brave effort, this, all the way around the outside. The road should now come to Liberati, and it does. Through he goes. As the pit window opens, up into 2nd place goes Eduardo Liberati. A really good move, that, and he had to plan it 3-4 corners before. But the former single-seater racer turned Lamborghini racer now up into 2nd place. He was the GT Asia champion going back a couple of seasons, and now up into 2nd here in the Nissan. Frankie Cheng is being given a drive-through penalty for the incident with Alexander Matschel. So he's been on the receiving end of one, and he was the instigator of a 2nd one, seemingly. So Frankie Cheng's rather torrid race gets no better. He gets a drive-through penalty. There is 82 into the pit lane for the mandatory stop. This is Max Chen to give way to Ken Urata, who we saw in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo last season. Ken Urata came out of the Nissan GTR Prestige Cup before Lamborghini racing, and the Taiwanese driver Max Chen, his stint done. The former Formula Renault racer hands the car over now to Ken Urata. So more for the pit lane, including Daryl O'Young, including Anthony Liu, including Patrick Niederhauser, interestingly, coming in relatively early to give way to Nico Bastian. So the pit lane suddenly becomes very busy indeed. And it's a long pit lane, it's a wide pit lane, it's a big pit lane, but you still have to be on good terms with your neighbours here to make sure you've got working space. Down the pit road comes Daryl O'Young then. The pit window remaining open this 10-minute period. And there Daryl O'Young stops. Patrick Niederhauser comes to his marks ahead. So Daryl O'Young will give way to Aidan Reed, and Patrick Niederhauser now gives way to Nico Bastian. There is the 991 Porsche, the 911 GT3R, being handed over to Aidan Reed, who was 2nd at Zhejiang last year when he was a Lamborghini racer. former single-seater driver back in Australia, and then came to race in China quite regularly in the Formula Masters single-seater championship, which kind of morphed into the Chinese Formula 4 series. There's the BMW leading in GT4, so Takayuki Kinoshita stays out for one more lap at least, and the BMW Team Studi entry goes through. And now the order, of course, is shuffling quite a lot, given that we've got the pit window opening and more people bailing for the pit stops. There is 991, ready to go. 90 seconds, remember, is a GT3 pit stop, 125 for a GT4 car. Away blasts the Porsche. Staying ahead significantly of number 37. So Aidan Reed is ahead on the pit stop still of Alessio Picariello, which is going to be interesting because you would think maybe Alessio's fractionally faster. There is Edoardo Liberati. There's another one being investigated now, which is an incident between the Porsche 808 of Li Chao and number 8 Hiroaki Nagai. In comes the leader. John O'Lester then is in to give way to Nick Foster this time. So down the pit road comes the New Zealander, and John O'Lester has done a good stint there. I know he inherited the lead because of the penalty, but the former Carrera Cup racer, Super Taikyu racer, Toyota Racing Series entrant, Lamborghini Super Trofeo driver and Asian Le Mans entrant now will give way, and Nick Foster gets on board. And drama for number 5 Bentley. Marchi Lee has just given that car over to Alex Young. It's on an outlap, and it's ground to a halt at the end of the pit lane just as it comes back onto the circuit. Alex Young has taken it over, but it's got a big problem, and so do the race officials. It's another Bentley that stopped, and this one can get going, thankfully. So Alex Young fires up, doesn't impede anybody as far as we can see leaving the pit lane, so he gets away. Much mopping of brows, both at Bentley, Team Phoenix, and also in race control, no doubt, but he's away and moving, but big problems briefly. Max Weiser has pitted as well as John O'Lester. I'll give you the order at the end of this next lap when the pit window has taken account of most entrants, and we've got a pattern emerging. Still half the race to go, still 30 minutes of the race remaining here. Here in GT4 72, this is Ringo Chong under attack from the number 17 Kyo Chang Porsche, and then through the traffic comes 37. So Picariello is ahead of Aidan Reed already. The Audi has gone through then and gained track position over the Porsche. Darrell Young vacated that Porsche. The Porsche has dropped a place. Let's hear though from Claire in the pit lane, because she's been able to find Darrell Young. You've got cars diving into the pit lane behind, but as you watch Darrell Young's car come over the line, let's hear from him with Claire.
Hot out the car, we've got Darrell Young in the Porsche for the 991 for Craft Bamboo. Darrell, you started quite a fair bit back. As in your point of view, pretty clean throughout the race until the end.
Yeah, I mean, the start was really good. I got a really good reaction to the light, and it seemed like the others didn't, so I was able to go up at least 3-4 positions off the start. And then there was a contact in the first corner. I tapped it inside and was able to move on the second. So just a dream start for the team, especially with all the Shangpeng Galco fans here this weekend. So it's been a great start. The race was clean. We've been struggling to get the tires up to temperature early on, so the safety car didn't help me because I was just getting the tires warm and I was getting up to good pace, and then we dropped off again for the safety car. But overall happy, and let's see what Aidan can do.
Amazing. Yes, like you said, Aidan's setting up right there. And something that's quite interesting, I noticed with the Porsche, everybody's knitting quite a lot and weaving. But you don't do that as much with the Porsche.
Yeah, we're just really trying to bring the brake temperature out more than the weaving itself. But yeah, I was weaving on certain parts of the track, but also trying to pick up. So there's a lot of things to think about out there. And I thought really keeping the temperature of the tires was the most important.
Fantastic. Brilliant, and good luck.
A good effort certainly by Darrell Young, 10th on the grid, second at the first corner. As he says, the dream start. So Darrell Young's car now in the hands of Aidan Reed. It has lost a place then, as we've seen, to Edoardo Liberati. It's also lost one relative to the... Sorry, not Edoardo Liberati, to the Audi, I should say, of Alessio Picariello. And it is, for the moment, clear of the Adderley Fong Audi. There it is. So Edoardo Liberati leads and has yet to stop. Mitch Gilbert is second and Shea Davis third in the 911 Porsche from Craft Bamboo. They've yet to stop, so the best of those that have made a pit stop will be this car, Nick Foster's Ferrari, that goes through. And behind is going to be Alessio Picariello. It's 8 seconds between the two. And on that lap, which is the quicker of them? Well, it's hard to gauge, really, because Nick Foster is on an out lap. So Picariello now has got the chance to bring down the advantage. Further back, number 66, heading into turn 1. It's David Chen, that had an off in his qualifying session, and 23 is behind. That is the on-the-road leader, Edoardo Liberati, who's going to have to pit pretty soon. He's staying out for as long as possible because he's the quicker of the two relative to Florian Strauss, but the leader is in. There, very wide indeed, Marco Mappelli trying to hustle his way past number 72 of Ringo Chong. And that's to put a lap on him, so Ringo Chong doesn't need to defend from the 10th place car. Marco Mappelli does go by now. There, 23 into the pit lane, Edoardo Liberati to give way to Florian Strauss. And as soon as the 90 seconds are up, Florian Strauss will blast away. He's another of the drivers that has come from the Nissan PlayStation Academy, the Couch to Cockpit competition, and has driven in the VLN, in the Nürburgring 24 Hours, in Blockpan Endurance, in the German GT Series, the ADAC GT Masters, won at Bathurst in 2015 in the 12 Hour. So he's an experienced driver, crammed a lot into a short space of time in Nissans. Alex Young goes through in the troubled Bentley after it stopped on the road, and that car now running in 22nd place. Pit window stays open, but I think pretty much everybody now serving their stops. There, diving up on the inside, Nico Bastian, getting himself up through the traffic. And the 999 Mercedes going after Roelof Bruns, who in a GT4 McLaren was impressive last year in China GT. Good to have him in Blockpan GT Series Asia this year. And it's interesting to see what he's like in a GT3 car. Roelof Bruns then accelerates down towards turn 14. The Dutch driver who raced in single-seaters in Europe, Formula Renault, German Formula 3 a long time ago before coming to race in Asia in Carrera Cup and in TCR. So as the leader goes by, Nick Foster, he maintains track position over the 23 Nissan. And where will Alessio Picariello be? The gap 8.4 seconds. And on the last time around, Nick Foster was the quicker of the two. There is Mitch Gilbert blasting back into, Aditya Patel blasting into the race. Also, you've got the Dennis Lind, now Martin Kodrich Lamborghini, dropping back behind the sister car of Marco Mappelli after its problems with that earlier drive-through. So, as ever, lots going on in this race, and Florian Strauss was the race leader, but it's all going to change as there, look, diving to the inside line. Alessio Picariello tries to get past Florian Strauss. Now, Strauss goes wide, leaves the door wide open, job done. I was going to say he's on an outlap anyway, and trying to get himself up to speed, but a very uncompromising arrival from Alessio Picariello, right into the mirrors, and Florian Strauss makes an error, goes off the road, and Picariello is through, up into second spot. Aidan Reid also charging along behind, look, in the red Porsche, trying to get himself up past the Nissan and carry on the good work done by Daryl O'Young. Daryl, remember, a winner here last year when Marvin Dienst made a guest appearance in the championship. And for the moment, it's the lights flashing car running in effectively fourth spot. There, Alex Young goes over the line ahead of Ben Porter in the Lamborghini. And in GT4, 72, which is now Alex Au, coming under attack there from the Porsche behind. Alex Au, who's a former Audi GT3 racer, hustles on, and perhaps feeling a bit more at home in a GT4 car, doing a really good job here, starting to gap the almost Martini livery Porsche behind him. In GT4, though, it is still 81 that leads the way, is it? Not anymore. GT4 now is the number 11 Porsche. So the class lead has gone the way of Tony Fong at 81, which has gone to Sanako Yukusho because of the longer penalty applied in the pits, the extra 15 seconds. That's now having to play catch-up. Side by side there, the two Mercedes in GT3, and a change imminent as Nico Bastian goes ahead of Roelof Bruns coming into the braking area. So Roelof Bruns loses a place. There is the overall race leader, Nick Foster, who has now done the fastest lap of the race, a quicker lap than was done by Dennis Lind. So, of course, for Nick Foster, the car is lighter. Maybe that's playing into his hands even more so. But the Ferrari, which isn't the sort of car that does much in terms of outright winning, I think this could be the first Ferrari win of the season, he says hesitantly. Looking good. So, Nick Foster for the Hub Auto Corsa squad this would be a very, very popular win. It was a team that raced in the Suzuka 10 hours as well, but going strongly. They're diving down towards turn 1, number 11. That is the now third GT4 car, because the shuffles have taken place, and we've got Reinhold Renger into the class lead in 666. Let's join Claire.
With us now, Mitch Gilbert in car 86, driving the Audi. Mitch, it looked like you were shaking your head a little bit come out the car. I know that's not how you feel smiling right now, but what's going on? It didn't look like the drive went too badly. Just now you're in the top 5, but you have swapped over. I see Patel's in 7 and 8 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just frustrating. Like, this was a race we could have been much more competitive, and we just have no pace. So we were going backwards in the race, and I think we stayed out a bit longer. I think that was maybe a mistake as well. We should have come in earlier. But anyway, I think that's kind of where we've been this year. We've been 7, 8, and that's really not what we're here for. So.
Perfect. Well, good luck for the rest of the race.
Frustration from the runners-up in the championship last season, and the OD racing car being run with Team WRT, which is interesting, therefore, to hear the complaints, the grumbles from Mitch Gilbert, because WRT very much one of the top squads in European racing with these cars, but it's just not quite gelled over here for some reason. Nick Foster leading the way. In second place is Alessio Picariello. That gap is 9.9 seconds, and the gap's widening. In third and fourth, Florian Strauss about to go a place down against Aidan Reed. And then in fifth place, number 7 is Adderley Fong, and sixth is the Lamborghini 63 of Marco Mappelli. There's the third and fourth fight, Nissan versus Porsche. So Florian Strauss under attack from Aidan Reed. The Porsche trying to muscle up the inside, into the back. Got to be careful doing things like that, especially in a Porsche. And Aidan Reed taps the tail of the Nissan, and then we'll try and get the run coming up the brow now towards turn 6 and make that move. The Porsche coming back into the fight. Florian Strauss not as rapid as one or two of those around him. You saw how well that car was going in the earlier part of the race. He's having to defend again. This is where he ran wide earlier and lost out to Picariello, but he defends. No argument about that. Hangs on to the place here. Nissan versus Porsche. Florian Strauss then hangs on to the place. The German driver keeps Aidan Reed at bay, the Australian on his tail. And they're both being caught now by Adderley Fong as well. He, in the Audi, look, the Absolute Racing car is almost with them. Adderley Fong right on the tail. So the man from Hong Kong closing that gap. Look, it's third, fourth and fifth. A three-way battle pack as they come into turn 10 now. The Nissan through and onto the power. Speed building all the time. There, look, is Alessio Picariello up the road. He's the man in second. And now Aidan Reed makes his move. Florian Strauss covers it, squeezes him towards the grass, but Aidan Reed says, I'm coming through. I don't care about your wide Nissan. I'm making this move, and I'm going to make it stick. And he does so now into the hairpin. Through he goes on the inside line. Great reception from the Porsche fans watching on the big screen. Huge cheer goes up as Aidan Reed, grass and all, goes through on the inside. And now Florian Strauss, with his very pointy elbows, comes under attack from Adderley Fong in the Audi. Over the timing line goes the race leader. He's 10 seconds clear. Nick Foster's heading for a win here, barring a mistake, barring a drama. Marco Mappelli, though, has done the fastest lap of the race. Here's the replay. Aidan Reed goes to the inside, commits, and Strauss just keeps on coming. And Aidan Reed knows he's got the quicker car. He keeps on coming. Two wheels on the grass, goes through. Now, the danger in that is whether or not the intake has picked up much grass and whether it starts to overheat. So Aidan Reed has gained a place, but it's going to be interesting now to keep an eye on the lap times and see whether, if he has picked up much grass, we could do with a shot at the front of the car, really. If it's overheating, the lap times are going to be slower. He's going to lose out again. The race leader, Nick Foster, looking good up front. Out of turn 9 and 10 now. So Nick Foster, whose Ferrari has this advantage of over 10 seconds, clear up front. They've had 2 second places this year. Well, Nick has had 2 second places because he's had different co-drivers over the course of the season. But now, with John O'Lester, all is looking good for this maiden victory. It's a Taiwanese team owned by Maurice Chen, who is in the sister car. He started the season with Leo Yi, but John O'Lester drafted in, and here they are set for a victory. But Nick Foster, as I say, twice the bridesmaid, now looking for the victory. Aidan Reed then up into that third place, and now look, Strauss comes under attack from Adderley Fong. Adderley Fong does not get quite the same treatment as Aidan Reed did, because the Audi has the width on the inside line to go for the place as they come down to the hairpin. That is the lonely man in second place, Alessio Picariello, but behind it's all going on for fourth and fifth. Strauss versus Fong as they get to the braking zone for the hairpin. Looking across to see if we can catch a glimpse of, yes, Audi through. So Adderley Fong has gone by, and Florian Strauss falling down the order now. 17 minutes on the clock. Marco Mappelli comes up to have a go at the opposition, and that car, remember, had a 5-second pit stop penalty because of a third place last time out in Japan. So Marco Mappelli has done a really good job in this stint, and he's not done yet. Mappelli right there on the tail, look, of Florian Strauss as they round turn one. Marco Mappelli, twice a third place finisher this season, looking to try and gain ground here. There aren't many GT championships that Marco Mappelli has not raced in, but he's still a bit of an undercover agent in a sense. He's not been really discovered in the same way that others had, but Lamborghini Squadra Corsa knows all about him. Put him into a car and he can deliver. So Strauss under attack. Here is the GT4 leader now. Things have calmed down a bit in there after all the pit stops, and it is Reinhold Renger who looks as though he's going to be on target for yet another class win. He has been mighty all season, and Reinhold Renger comes through and now up for another lap to be ticked off. That now puts 17 laps in the book, and Reinhold Renger is clear of the BMW behind. Look at Sanako Yokusho, there it is. The margin between them, nearly 7 seconds. Florian Strauss still under attack for his fifth place from Marco Mappelli. And look at this, Chris van der Drift in the turquoise Porsche coming under attack and attacking. He's trying to get himself up the order. He's got past Martin Rump, and they're coming under attack as well from Raffaele Marciello. So this is van der Drift making progress. It's Rump having dropped a place, and it's Marciello in the ascendancy as well. Three very, very good drivers, but they're scrapping here for 14th, 15th and 16th because of dramas early on or slower co-drivers. The one that loses out there is Raffaele Marciello. He can't find a way around on the outside at turn 10. Chris van der Drift is away and gone, as up the inside now tries to go Marciello. Blasting his way out of the long right at 12. He'll make the move on the Audi now. Martin Rump hasn't really got the run in a straight line here. The grunt and go of all that torque from the Mercedes should carry it past. Through on the inside line, down to the hairpin. Mercedes versus Audi. Hard on the brakes. Raffaele Marciello has stayed there level all the way down the straight. Only now as he turns into the hairpin on the inside line does he claim the place, because he's got the shorter line. David Chen is behind them with his Mercedes as they battle up now towards the left at turn 16. Marciello then. Another day, another championship, but a similar car. He races for the Acura ASP squad in Blockpan in Europe, for Grupperam over here, Kenny Chen's team. And as he goes by, with 14 minutes to go, he's up into 15th place. But Marciello not scoring so well in this race. Marco Mappelli is ahead of Florian Strauss now, so we've had that change of place for 5th. Reversal between the two of them. Number 63, the Lamborghini hustles on. Marco Mappelli's next target is going to be the number 7 out of the Fong Audi up the road. Fong's last lap was a 2 minutes 8.4. Mappelli was in the 2 minute 9s, but then again he was stuck behind the Nissan. So now that the road is clear, we'll start to see whether he is going to be able to catch back up again. There's the KTM, which will be in the hands now of Justin McMillan. That car is where in GT4 7th, quite a long way back, sadly, but the first time we've seen the car, and maybe with its 2-litre turbo engine, it's a bit underpowered for the long straights of Shanghai. Now there, look, Adderley Fong is on the back of Aidan Reed now, so the Australian driver in the Porsche comes under renewed attack, flashes his lights at 88, which is the Mercedes they can see, encouraging that out of the way. James Tang, the drifter, is negotiated. The GT3 cars go past the AMG Driving Academy team LSX Motorsports entry. Over the line goes the Mercedes, and they're third and fourth, the gap a second and a half. They come past the pits. Mapelli fifth. Mapelli's last lap, still not quite as quick in fairness as Adley Fong, so life is getting tougher from here on in for the Lamborghini driver. Adley Fong, another man that's switched from single-seaters into GT cars. And there is Alessio Picariello then. He's got himself up past the KTM to put a lap on it. But Nick Foster up front, just looking so strong. He's been helped, admittedly, by a good stint by John O'Lester, which in turn was helped by Dennis Lind's drive-through penalty. But even so, top marks here for the Hub Auto Corsa team, heading for a maiden win. This will be a very popular result, and again, just makes the championship wide open. Niederhauser, remember, is down in 10th place, the championship leader, and Dennis Lind and Martin Kodrich are 7th, despite the drive-through. So the Mercedes lost out because of that extra 15 seconds in the pit lane. The race is currently on lap 21, and we've got 11 minutes to go. A flash of the lights there from Nick Foster. That is to warn Tony Fong of his progress. Tony Fong is currently 4th in GT4. BMW towards us, 82 that is. It's Ken Orata at the wheel, and Alessio Picariello hangs on to his second place, but the reigning Audi R8 Cup champion unable to do anything about the Ferrari. The gap is going up rather than down. The leader has just gone across the line, and there Picariello dives up the inside. Even so, in fairness, second place will be a good result for him and Anthony Liu, who is a bronze-graded driver. So to have kept the car as competitive as it was in that first stint is a good effort. Take nothing away from Anthony Liu for this. Aidan Reed with the lights are flashing, goes through in third place. It's Adley Fong in fourth. It's Marco Mapelli in fifth. And Mapelli is now bringing the gap down. Mapelli is lapping quicker than anybody ahead of him. So Marco Mapelli is absolutely on a charge now. He might gain one more place. Could he gain two before the end? In sixth place is Florian Strauss. Martin Kodrich is 7th, and Kodrich could also gain another place because Kodrich is only 0.3 of a second adrift. Kodrich in 7th place, getting closer all the time then now. Through they turn, back marker ahead, and a twitch from the Porsche as it brakes. Aidan Reed turns out of turn 6 now. Adley Fong is on his tail, Marco Mapelli is on his tail, and there's an incident between Reed and Strauss being looked at. That will be Strauss edging Aidan Reed onto the grass, surely. I just wonder, though, now whether Aidan Reed is starting to struggle as the car twitches again with anything in the air down at the front. He's gone wide anyway, and past him goes Adley Fong. He gains the place. There it is, number 7 Audi goes through up into third, and Aidan Reed could well lose that now to Marco Mapelli, who is right there as well behind. So the Lamborghini closing. And look in the background, Florian Strauss now under attack from Martin Kodrich. If Kodrich can gain another place, that is very good news for the championship. Through they turn. We're on lap 22 of this 9th round of the Blancpain GT Series Asia here at Shanghai. In the background, you see coming off that slightly banked corner, Nissan and Lamborghini side by side, and Martin Kodrich is about to go 6th on the inside. Is he? Marco Mapelli, in the meantime, is trying to line up a move to go 4th in his Lamborghini, but Florian Strauss keeps Kodrich behind him this time, able to defend all the way down the straight. So as they come now up towards the hairpin, for the moment at least, no change in the order, but not for the want of trying on the part of Martin Kodrich. Through they turn with, what have we got, 8 minutes and change on the clock. Aidan Reed goes through in the Porsche, right on his tail, Marco Mapelli. So you've got Fong up to third as we'd seen. Aidan Reed is 4th, 5th is Mapelli, who looks to the inside line, but he can't do it there, wasn't quite close enough. Where is the next battle pack? It is still Strauss ahead of Kodrich. And then Aditya Patel runs 8th, Stuvik is 9th, Sandy Stuvik's Porsche, 10th is the 28 Tim Slade Ferrari, and 11th is Nico Bastian in the Patrick Niederhauser car, which has just therefore dropped back into 11th place, so not great news for the championship leader. Patrick Niederhauser pitted early, but Nico Bastian struggling. The Mercedes, as the team will tell you, not being helped on the BOP here, but every team will tell you that. BOP is one of those contentious issues. So, in the traffic, Aidan Reid slightly delayed. Marco Mappelli swarming all over the back of him. Goes one side, goes the other. Tries to find a way by, can't quite do it there. Through they turn. This is lap 23. And Aidan Reid has attacked, he's defended, and he's having to defend once again here, because right with him, as they come towards the completion of this lap, is Marco Mappelli. The Porsche goes wide. Mappelli tries to get up on the inside. The Lamborghini, the type of car that was the fastest of anything in the qualifying session. Through they go then now, up towards the left at turn 10. Aidan Reid fending off the Lamborghini. But not anymore. Marco Mappelli makes the move on the inside. Job done. It's taken a while, but Marco Mappelli goes through. Mappelli up on the inside. He takes away 4th place. And that Lamborghini, remember, that had an extra 5 seconds to serve on its pit stop, hustling up the order. It started 8th on the grid. Aidan Reid fights back. Marco Mappelli defends then. You can see some of the dirt, some of the grass that's been scooped up into the front of the Porsche. Out of turn 14, they come with 6 minutes on the clock still. Hard on the brakes to turn 16, through that left and then blast over the timing line. Now the next target for Marco Mappelli is Adam Lifong, 2.5 seconds up the road. It's going to be a big ask, that, with 6 minutes to go, but if anybody can rise to the occasion, this is the man. Marco Mappelli then, in the FFF Racing Team Lamborghini, already gapping Aidan Reid. 8.88 in the meantime, is in 15th place, Raffaele Marciello. Alexander Matschell's stint not having given the car the ideal opportunity, and Nico Bastian is back ahead of Tim Slade, the Australian driver. Through they come towards turn 3. The 999 Mercedes blasts its way through. In treble 6, the Gripram Mercedes that leads in GT4 is Reinhold Renger, and he's heading, as I say, for yet another class victory here. Reinhold Renger, who had had a few years away from racing until he came back this season, but you can trace him back to the 1990s in long-distance German events, but has not done too much of late, but it's good to have him back for sure. The Gripram Mercedes, very much an AM-friendly car. This, the GT3 Ferrari, the 488, and it's in the hands of Nick Foster, who is on target for a race win, no doubt about it now. Turning his way into turn 16, and the gap has steadily been growing, lap after lap. A 10th here, a couple of 10ths there, and Nick Foster it is, who was 13 seconds to the good, goes over the line and is almost at the end of the pit straight before Alessio Picariello has even got to turn 16. Still can't give you the gap, still hasn't broken the timing line. So as there is the leader out of that long turn 1, Picariello goes over the line 14.2 seconds back. Nick Foster can get 2 more laps, maybe 3 out of this race. It's been a very, very good showing indeed for the AMG squad in GT4, but for Ferrari in GT3. There, Marco Mappelli, 1.9 seconds back from Adam Lifong. He is catching him. There's the Audi up the road. This could well be a last lap move by Marco Mappelli. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. He's getting away from Aidan Reid, that's for sure. So with 3.5 minutes to go, the race leading Ferrari 14 seconds ahead. This is the fight for third building up. The Absolute Racing Audi, Adam Lifong at the wheel of it. Coming under pressure, coming under attack now. The car doing the chasing is 63, Marco Mappelli. So it's Ferrari, Audi, Lamborghini, Porsche, Nissan in the top 6. Martin Kodrich 7th, and he is only a 10th behind Florian Strauss. So even though that was looking as though it was about to change a little while ago, it hasn't yet happened. Through the traffic, Reinhold Renger gets to one side. As past in there goes the Marco Mappelli Lamborghini way out wide, coming out of turn 10. Mappelli is still in a big hurry. Race leader coming up towards us then, so Nick Foster looking good. The race leading Ferrari set for a win, and it'll be a very, very happy Nick Foster after a couple of second places, but a bit of an up and down sort of a season here. And it's all clicked, it's all come good today. 2 more laps, I reckon. A flying lap is a 2:07. He's going to break the beam with about 2 minutes and 15 to go. So 2 more laps there is time for Nick Foster, and he's so far ahead now of Alessio Picariello, he need not really worry. Turns through the long sequence at turns 2 and 3, and so now it's a case of not making any mistakes and guiding the car home for this all-important victory. So penultimate lap for the 27 Ferrari comes now into these final stages. However, lower back, this is the battle for 7th place, because Martin Kodrich is under attack. He's got stuck behind Florian Strauss, and Aditya Patel has arrived on the scene to come up and challenge him. So Kodrich, rather than gaining a place, is going to have to work pretty hard now to hang on to the ground that he gained earlier on in the race. You can see now he really is having to fight. Through they come almost as one here. Strauss ahead of Kodrich, ahead of Aditya Patel. It's Reinhold Renger who is just up ahead to be negotiated in a moment. He again pulls to one side, and Renger doing the things absolutely right here, because he's ahead by some margin of his class rival. There is no point getting in the way and spoiling the battle of GT3. He needs to win his class, so by getting out of the way of the quicker cars, everybody's happy. And Reinhold Renger preserving his advantage. It's 13 seconds at the moment over the opposition in the class. Nick Foster then is about to start his last lap. Been a very, very impressive display, as I say, by the Porsche team. And so Nick Foster, who had a 4th and a 5th, the 2nd and a 6th, the 4th and a 15th, and then a 2nd and a 7th, is going to be a winner here. The Hard Auto Corsa Ferrari will start its last lap. He could almost back it right off and take the win, but no, there's one more to go. There is the board. So here in Shanghai, it's going to be a win for Ferrari, the first Ferrari victory of the season. We've had 2 Mercedes victories in Malaysia, 2 Mercedes victories in Thailand, Audi and Lamborghini winning in the first Japanese visit, and Nissan and Mercedes winning on the second Japanese visit. There in second place is Alessio Picariello, who is now 14.9, let's call it 15 seconds behind. In third place is Adderley Fong, who is now 2 seconds up on Marco Mappelli. He's responded, in other words. So that gap just slightly widening as the cars go now through turn 1 and 2. So the number 7 Audi looking good for third place, because I don't think Marco Mappelli can pull back 2 seconds and make the move. Alessio Picariello is going to be a bit frustrated in a sense because he can't catch the Ferrari, but it has still been a very good effort by Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu working together. There is 27 Ferrari, half a lap to go down towards turn 10. Nick Foster and John O'Lester are heading for a win. This car started 5th on the grid. There was plenty of drama at the first corner, and it's been a drama-filled race as well, with cars rising and falling as ever, with different speeds of drivers and with the pit stop penalty and everything else taken into effect. For Nick Foster and John O'Lester, then it's going to be a first win in the championship. Down towards the hairpin there in the background, you've got the Bentley, which will, I think, just avoid going a further lap down. Alex Young bringing this new project for 21st place. Car looks good in that champion colour scheme. It's always been a very impressive livery on the Audis that we've seen in this series. So 27 then. Nick Foster brakes for the hairpin, turns through the right-hander, and will sprint now up towards the left at turn 16 and then to the checkered flag. And round 9 of Blancpain GT Series Asia is going to be won by Ferrari. It is going to be won by Jono Lester, and Nick Foster, who backs it right off at the end, takes the checkered flag and wins in Shanghai. Nick Foster and Jono Lester win for the first time for Hub Auto Corsa, and a very happy team indeed. Second is going to be the Audi of Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu. That car takes the flag, and for third it will be Adam Lee Fong and Andrew Kim, which is their best result of the season by some margin. 8th was the previous best, and now the first podium finish for Adam Lee Fong and Andrew Kim. Great effort, as there we have Aidan Reid 5th behind Marco Mappelli. A way out wide has just gone Martin Kodrich, and he still can't get past Florian Strauss. So Strauss 6th, Kodrich 7th, Aditya Patel in the OD Audi 8th across the line. Here is 97, this is Roelof Browns, who is just ahead of Daisuke Aito, and then Raffaele Marciello is set for 14th, and there the Gripper M GT4 Mercedes of Reinhold Renger is going to be 22nd overall, but will win GT4 yet again. So a great drive by Nick Foster and Jono Lester. It is a win for the Ferrari and a great result. It also means that it's good for the championship because it's got the variety. It's got more brands winning. It's got different teams winning as well. So the Ferrari will make its way to the pit lane. You'll find Nick Foster in a moment going offline slightly just to get a bit of pick-up to help with the ride height, to help with the weight. And a great drive by Marco Mappelli for 4th place. Good drive too, take nothing away from the sister car Martin Kodrich after Dennis Lin's penalty. That car bouncing back and taking in the end 7th place, whereas the championship rival 10th, Patrick Niederhauser. And as for Frankie Cheng and Martin Rump, 16th after the spin at the start and then the drive-through penalty. So that was a very disappointing race for the Audi drivers that started so well, should have started so well with them leading off the line. So GT4, just a look down, we talked about the fact that Reinhold Renger was the category winner. As you see that great sight of all the cars pouring their way into turn 14, it was the win for number 666 Reinhold Renger, and the debut win in the car, Rick Yoon, the Korean banker. Second in GT4, the 81 BMW of Takayuki Kinoshita and Sanako Yukisho, and third in GT4 72 Alex Au and Ringo Chong. That means that the post-event press conference will be a riotous affair because Ringo Chong is always great value. The Pro-Ams in GT3, that was a class win for Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu. Second of the Pro-Ams, Adley Fong and Andrew Kim, and the third Pro-Am, Marco Mappelli and Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Of the AMs, that was a win for, yet again, and this could give them a championship, Naota Takeda and Takuya Shirosaka. I need to get the calculator out when I get a chance. Second was the Ben Porter Andrew McPherson Lamborghini, and third of the GT3 AMs we did not have. So there is the winning Ferrari. There is a delighted Nick Foster, gets out of the car. Jono Lester goes to greet him, and an excellent job done. Very, very happy team, very happy drivers. With very happy Maurice Chen as the team owner as well in there somewhere. And everybody huddling together for the photographs. Nick Foster not even getting his helmet off before they've all posed, but you can see how much it means to driver and to team, and the win finally comes for the Ferrari squad. Maurice Chen, the Taiwanese team principal, joins the celebrations, and we'll try and grab a word with team, with drivers very, very shortly. Claire is in the midst of all of the celebrations. And as Nick Foster takes off his crash helmet, Jono Lester is there, and Maurice Chen, you saw joining in as a very, very happy team owner. The Porsche fans pretty pleased with 5th, Even though it wasn't a win, it was still a good result, all told, for Daryl Young and Aidan Reid's car. And there then the winning drivers in Parc Fermé. So it's a win for Nick Foster and John O'Lester. Let's hear from them and Claire.
Nick Foster, John O'Lester, oh my goodness, congratulations guys. The last I saw, there was almost a 15-second gap.
Yeah, I don't know what it was in the end, but I mean, testament to this guy. I mean, his opening stint was brilliant, buried a bit in the pack, and he's come out of nowhere, the phoenix from the ashes. And I mean, to be honest, we struggled all weekend, so this is a massive surprise. We threw the kitchen sink at it for that race, and the kitchen sink drive's beautiful.
And I tell you what, with that gap, it looks like he won't hurt too much when it comes to the time penalty for the next race.
Well, I like what you're saying there. Yeah, I mean, look, that's tomorrow. You know, we want to enjoy this. This is Hub Auto's first win, and I know the team have been trying so hard. Obviously, you know, all season Nick's had some really bad luck and some things like go his way. So for the whole team, for Morris, for everybody, it's fantastic. I'm so stoked. So, yeah, good day. Awesome day.
Thank you, guys.
Well done, John O'Lester and Nick Foster. Well done, Hub Auto Corsa, for a maiden victory. And it'll be a very popular one. Can't party too hard tonight, because there's another race to fret about tomorrow. But top job done by the team. Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu taking second place in the Audi, number 37. That car run by the Absolute Racing team. And then the sister car taking third, the Andrew Kim, Adderley Fong entry. The ex-Bentley drivers getting together for the Audi. Well, let's hear from our second place team, because
With this now we've got Picariello and Anthony Liu. Congratulations, guys, second place. You guys held it down when things got a little bit tight there. Tell us more about your race, Anthony.
For me, it was quite straightforward. Trying to make the best advantage for the mess in the beginning, and I overtook two Audis, so try to stay in fourth, and then gave the car to my teammate, and he took it from there.
Tell us about the pace of the car.
To be honest, it was quite difficult. It's really good for the result. I'm happy for my first race with Anthony. He did a great job in his stint, but we need to work. We need to work because I was struggling out there. So, but yeah, let's take the result back home, and pretty happy.
Thank you, guys.
Second place, a very good result, but again, you hear an Audi team talking about lack of pace. We heard that during the race from Mitch Gilbert, hearing again post-race from Alessio Picariello. Even though you're second, you're still not 100% happy. And Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim get their first podium of the season. Let's find out in a few moments whether their demeanour is any more happy after that first top three finish of the season. They will also, of course, be good for the podium. We have 4 podium ceremonies, because we've got GT4 plus the AM, Pro-Am and overall situation within GT3. So the SRO Championship officials will be very busy in a moment, getting the right drivers, the right trophies, the right hats, the right checks, everything for the drivers up onto the podium. So the drivers now make their way up to the podium. It's time perhaps we had a look in a moment at some of the highlights of a very lively first of 2 races here in Shanghai. I think it's the first dry race we've had at Shanghai in the championship's history, because last year the 2 races were pretty wet. And here, with lots of support for Porsche, a sunny grid and a 32-strong entry, the biggest GT grid we've had for a race in China. Away from the start, a good getaway was made by Frankie Cheng on the outside of the front row. Better than the pole man, Dennis Lind, who braked a little bit late going into the first corner, tapped the Audi in the tail, turned it around. For that, Dennis Lind got a drive-through penalty, but it came late after a safety car period. Before that, though, there was plenty of dramatic racing going on as the cars wriggled their way out of turn 2 and turn 3, everybody going for a clear bit of track space. Daryl O'Young had been the real winner on the first corner, up from 10th on the grid to 2nd, but he then lost out as John O'Lester got through in the Ferrari, and we lost Jordan Pepper, the Bentley, facing the wrong way coming out of turn 3. That was the reason that we needed the safety car. Everybody bunched up, and it took away Dennis Lind's healthy advantage. Number 18 Nissan had got damaged suspension as well, and that was a retirement into the pit lane. When the race got back underway, the drive-through came for Dennis Lind, and of course with the pack all close behind, he lost many places and fell to 15th spot. On circuit, though, the battles raged on. Edoardo Liberati was a man on a big mission trying to get up the inside of Daryl O'Young. He did it, had to use the curb, but he was coming through. Pit window opened, everybody served the regulation pit stop. And when the cars went back out, there was drama for Alex Young because his Bentley hesitated and then had to do a sort of Control-Alt-Delete reset before it could get going again. Marco Mappelli was given a bit of a rough ride by Ringo Chong, but the GT3 Lamborghini blasted its way past the back marker to put the lap on that slower car and set off in pursuit of the number 23 Nissan, because Florian Strauss had lost ground as he joined the race. He went wide and lost one spot, which was second to Alessio Picariello. Mitch Gilbert's Audi was given to Aditya Patel, who blasted back into the race, the OD racing car, making it 8th by the end. But Nick Foster, by this stage, was just away and gone, building the lead as the battles raged on behind in GT4, with GT3 traffic getting through as well. Chris van der Drift making his way up on the inside, having taken over from Li Chao in the 808 Porsche. Aidan Reed got into the back of Florian Strauss, trying to prise open the door. Nissan keeping Porsche at bay. Eventually, Aidan Reed did make his move, but he had to use the grass to do it. Florian Strauss investigated for that move, but it mattered not in the long run because Aidan Reed went past, although as the stint wore on, the Porsche rather fell back into 5th place. Chris van der Drift was on his toes. He was up into 15th by the end as the fight between Aidan Reed and Marco Mappelli took up attention. The Lamborghini going through. Onto the last lap of the race, though, Nick Foster had a commanding advantage, and the winner of this 9th round of Blancpain GT Series Asia by 13.5 seconds. A first win for Nick Foster and Jono Lester, a first win for Hub Auto Corsa, first win of the year for Ferrari. And Nick Foster and Jono Lester, the winners here in Shanghai. So the drivers making their way up to the podium. Let's confirm the results of the first race of the weekend. Nick Foster and Jono Lester taking the win ahead of Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu. 3rd, Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim. In 4th place, it was Marco Mappelli and co-driver Hiroshi Hamaguchi, ahead of Aidan Reed and Daryl Young, with 6th being Florian Strauss and Eduardo Liberati. 7th, good recovery after the penalty, Martin Kodrich and Dennis Lind, with 8th being Mitch Gilbert and Aditya Patel. Go further down the order, and in 19th place is the AM winner in the race and provisionally in the championship, the Audi of Shirosaka and Takeda. But for GT4 honours, you go to 22nd, Rick Yoon. Good debut in that car for him, and Reinhold Renger taking the GT4 category honours. Drama early on for the Jordan Pepper Bentley, and also drama for 59, the Jingzhou Zun Burit Biron-Bakhti Audi, which I don't think got into the race. That I was saying early on was we were one car short. That's the one I can't trace anywhere.
And gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of Race 1, Blancpain GT Series Asia at Shanghai International Circuit. We'll start this ceremony with the overall winners. We welcome with applause. In first position, car 27, Jono Lester and Nick Foster. In second position, car 37, Anthony Liu and Alessio Picariello. In third position, car number 7, Andrew Kim and Adderley Fong. And now we are glad to invite Matteo Braga, Pirelli Racing Manager, to award the trophies.
So trophies presented, and very happy drivers, as you can understand, on the podium as the victorious Adderley Fong and Andrew Kim get the 3rd place trophies. 2nd, Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu. And a great result for Hub Auto in this very antipodean combination of Jono Lester and Nick Foster. The checks go to the season-long entrance, and $2,500 for 3rd, $5,000 for 2nd in GT3, and the biggest check of all goes to Hub Auto Corsa. I'd like the party funds tonight of $10,000 to the winning team. And so now Everybody will get together for the group photograph on the podium. All smiles. And the champagne about to fly. Some drivers decide it really isn't worth it. Some say, oh, yes, it is, especially when it's your first win. And so Jono Lester and Nick Foster take great delight in all of this. And you can understand why. Doesn't have sting in your eyes, champagne. Jono Lester has just discovered all of this, but Nick Foster is a delighted man. And the celebrations are underway here in Shanghai. Take that, Nick Foster. He gets done by the opposition in the end. So the podium will then be made ready for the next ceremony, for the next category of driver that we have. We've had the overall podium, so next we will turn to the Pro-Am contest. Pro-Am being won by second overall Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu, as we were saying during the race, as they have said post-race. A very good effort the first time they've driven together, and a good result for the pair of them. So the drivers now being brought forward for the Pro-Am podium here in Shanghai. So there the drivers on the top of the podium, and Alessio Picariello and Anthony Liu, the winners of Pro-Am here in Shanghai. And so now the presentations will be made. Masahiko Ida, the CEO of Dixel, will award the trophies. And it's good that you got a Pro-Am second, third and fourth, because it's always a fear for some of the amateur drivers, the less experienced, that they're never going to stand a chance. But to have the drivers being able to mix it like that is very good indeed. So there, the trophies are handed over to third place, which is Marco Mappelli and Hiroshi Hamaguchi. Then to second, Evada Li Fong and Andrew Kim. And then to the winners of Pro-Am, Anthony Liu, and to Alessio Picariello, who takes the winner's trophy for second overall, but victorious in Pro-Am in this first race of the weekend. To the lower graded driver in Pro-Am, there is the Blancpain clock, which is worth a great deal, so treat that carefully, Anthony. And Anthony Liu takes the clock and takes the Pro-Am win as well. And he's a very content man, that is for sure. There's no great demonstrative outpouring of emotion about all of this, but he'll be pretty pleased with that win, and we might now see how happy he is as the champagne is sprayed here in Shanghai at the end of round 9 of Blancpain GT Series Asia. As the drivers then continue the fun and games, all of which then gets continued in the press conference in a short while. It'll be the AMs and then the GT4 drivers next. And we've had another fascinating race on track at the moment. There are plenty of Lamborghini VIP laps, but for the Blancpain GT Series Asia teams, they can now look forward to day 2, because it's now a long night for some teams to repair damage or to study data and to see where they go from here. And for others, it's going to be a night of celebration with a maiden win for Hub Auto. It's also a night of doing some computations. The championship will be a little bit more jumbled after what we've had today, and we look forward to race 2 tomorrow. Join us if you can for race 2 from Shanghai, from Claire Jedrick and David Addison. Bye-bye. So there we have the winning AMs. There's only 2 in the AM class. You've got there on the top step the dominant and now champions, namely the Audi combination of Naota Takeda and Takuya Shirasaka, and Andrew McFarlane